Alexis Diaz is back, but that should not mean he just sits right back down at the head of the table.
You are Locked On Reds, your daily Cincinnati Reds podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Reds. My name is Jeff Carr. His name is Steve Offenbaker, and we are lifelong Cincinnati Reds fans that have been podcasting about the Reds for a combined 14 years now. We love the Cincinnati Reds team. We're talking about them every single day because we're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. And on today's podcast, we have got a lot to get to because this Seattle Mariners series presents a tough challenge that will tell you exactly what that is later on in today's show. The Reds lineup just got better here today on Tuesday, and we'll tell you why in a few minutes. It is becoming clear how it should look for the foreseeable future. Spoiler alert, not the way that it looks on Tuesday. Anyway, we'll get to that in a few minutes. But we want to start today's show by looking at this bullpen and how it should shake out, and how at least Tito is saying it's going to shake out with the return of Alexis Diaz. That's all on today's episode that is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, Steve, we got the good news. Matt McLain's back. Austin Hayes is back, and we're going to talk about why the lineup is looking a lot better and a lot more stable here in a few minutes. But I want to start with Alexis Diaz coming back because a lot of people are wondering how the drama in this bullpen will unfold. I think it should be a closer by committee, and we've seen some quotes to the effect from Tito and even from Alexis Diaz himself that it's at least for this foreseeable moment going to be closer by committee.
You know, while you were away playing out there in the Bay, Eric Matthews was on for you a couple times, and I know I'm good like that. Eric Matthews was on, and I said, this is exactly how I wanted it to go. I wanted it to be bullpen by committee, and he pushed back on that, basically making the pitch that players need to find roles and, you know, use Rysel, Mr. Horribly Wrong Iglesias as an example of that, and all of the things. I stand by the Reds need to be bullpen by committee. Clearly, Tito is leaning a little bit more on Pagan right now, feeling like Emilio has the hot hand. Feels like he's got the hot hand, but Graham Ashcraft's hand is pretty hot right now, too. You bring in Alexis Diaz, you see if he can get going. Now you're at three guys that you can use back there. And the real key thing in this is that you can have those guys available to you all year long, rather than running one guy out there and running into the problems we saw with Fernando Cruz, running into the problems we've seen with Alexis Diaz. This allows there to always be a fresh guy that you can point to. And when they come into the game, the hitters on the other team might actually be a little bit worried. And that's really what we need. And I need Alexis Diaz to show me he still has that in him, Jeff, because there was a lot of times he came into games last year. I didn't feel that way. I was worried. You know, the lights start flashing and his music comes on and I'm thinking, oh crap, here we go. Buckle up. Let me get another beer right quick, because you never knew what you were going to get with him. Now I'm looking at his 2024 numbers, Jeff, his age 27 season. He threw 56 and a third innings in 60 games. Now it wasn't as bad. ERA 3.99. You look at his strikeouts per nine, 8.8, a little bit low considering that his two previous seasons were both 11.7, 11.5. Here is the problem. Here's the thing. He's always had a high walk rate. Walks per nine for his career is 4.8. That's 3 seasons, 4.7, 4.8, 5.0. I read those in order. They're going the wrong way. He has to get that under control.
Well, and I think too, like, he is a victim of early closer struggle syndrome and the ECSS. Anyway, I think what happened was he had a rough first month of the season in 2024, and from then on out, it didn't matter what he did. When he came out of the bullpen, there was a collective groan at Great American Ballpark and anyone in Reds country that had their television on watching the game. It was, oh boy, here we go again. Honestly, statistically, he was pretty good after the month of May, but nobody was trying to hear that. because of the early season struggles that he had. And then he comes into spring training, and you heard all off season, we even discussed it a little bit, that yes, the second half of the year was looking much better for Alexis Diaz. Let's see what he's got. He shows up to spring training, and he's got broken command. That's why he was on the injured list to begin the season. There was the hamstring, and reported the hamstring strain, and he felt a little twinge whenever he made a stride one day in spring training. That's all well and good, but we know why he was out there on rehab. It was to fix the command, or at least get some sort of consistency. And we all have this picture in our mind that was going around social media and Reds social circles of the at-bat he had in AAA, where the first pitch was a strike, and then the next four were balls, all in a box in the left-handed batter's box, and he was pitching to a right-handed hitter. There was just this feeling that the command wasn't necessarily back. I think had that command shown up even back in spring training, this would be a different conversation. We would be saying, put him back at the head of the table. He picks his seat in the bullpen. He's the closer. But because we continue to see these struggles, we have to see him in a game not throw pitches to all quadrants of the world to the first guy that he faces. He can't come in and walk the first guy he faces, because it's all going to give us PTSD, and we're going to be like, here we go again.
Absolutely. Are you concerned at all that in addition to the walks per nine showing a clear trend, the hits per nine also show the same? So if you look at his hits per nine over that same time period, he goes from 4.0 to 5.9 to 6.7. At the same time, his walk rate went from 4.7 to 4.8 to 5.0. And the same time, his strikeout rate went down, right? So you've got these two graphs of bad things, walks per nine, hits per nine, and then you've got this graph of strikeouts per nine going down. Also, I want to talk about his FIP for a second, because you're the FIP guy. You're the guy that tries to get me to use these newfangled stats that the kids are talking about. So let's talk about his FIP for a minute, Jeff. His ERA was 3.99, but his FIP was 4.57.
Yeah, and this all stems from the command. And this is why we heard quotes from him this offseason where he's like, I'm working on, pounding the strike zone with every pitch that I throw, because when your walks are up and your command is off, then you have to throw a strike. And when a hitter knows that a strike is coming, they're getting ready to swing. So that's where you see those hits, because he has to throw a meaty strike. He has to throw something that catches a lot of the plate, so he doesn't just walk the guy on 4 pitches or something like that. So if you see that command improve, you see the walks per nine drop, you're going to see the hits per nine drop, you're going to see the strikeouts per nine rise. It's all tied into this one thing. And that's why it's so frustrating, because we know he's got the stuff. His fastball moves, baby. His slider is electric, man. You know that he can get guys out, but if they're all like so far out the zone that nobody's worried about them touching the zone and them needing to swing at it, then everything else gets worse. And the FIP is all based on what the pitcher can control. And if the pitcher's losing his control on walks, then the FIP is just going to go way south way quick.
All right, let me ask you this. What is the impact, if any, to Emilio Pagan and Graham Ashcraft with Alexis Diaz coming back? I'm wondering if this doesn't have a positive impact of Emilio Pagan and Graham Ashcraft both being like, oh, slow your roll, boo-boo.
Iron sharpens iron, right?
You're not the closer yet. Let's see.
Well, and Tito's put his stamp of approval on a bullpen by committee as in a sort of way, shape, or form. Like Charlie Goldsmith tweeted out, he said that Diaz isn't the closer. It's fair for him and the team. This is coming from Terry Francona, said for Diaz to pitch, quote, when it makes sense. And then Diaz himself was asked poignantly, are you coming back as the closer, or do you know what your role is? And through a translator, Alexis Diaz said, I'm here to work. That's not somebody that thinks they're like just taking over that closer role and usurping Emilio Pagan and Tony Santillan.
And that is 100% the right answer. That's 100% the right answer from the player standpoint. You're just here to work. Listen, I'm still pissed off about the Raisel Iglesias. They're using me horribly wrong. You don't get to say things like that. So I'm glad that at least somebody learned from that mistake, Jeff.
Yeah, and I think Díaz has the right mindset with this, but it's clear to me, and thankfully it seems clear to Tito and clear to Alexis Diaz that it's going to be closer by committee with the Reds bullpen, at least here in the early going this season.
All right, Jeff, we've talked about the bullpen, but listen up. The Reds lineup, while it has had its struggles, it gets not one, it gets two big boosts today. We're going to be talking about the return of Matt McLain, and we're welcoming in Austin Hays. We've got that for you coming up next.
Whether you're headed down to the ballpark or you're getting ready to watch them on television or listen to them on the radio, FanDuel is the best way to enjoy Reds baseball all season long, making a couple extra bucks each and every game. And hey, with the NBA playoffs starting, FanDuel's upped their bonus bet gifting for your first $5 win. If you're a new user of FanDuel, your first $5 wager that you win will get you $250 in bonus bets. And you can still check out the season win total for the Reds. They still have it at 79.5. I guess that's what happens when you go 8-8 in your first 16 games. Things don't change. But hit that over. I don't even know why you need convincing, but you should hit the over. 79.5 wins over on FanDuel. That's FanDuel.com. They are the official sportsbook of Locked On.
Make sure you have clicked that subscribe button so that you do not miss any of the great Reds content we've got coming for you. Jeff and I are here at least 5 times a week. Tim Daniel, joining us on the Reds postcast show, is live after every single game, all 162. Tim Daniel's got you covered for instant reaction of what just happened. And Jeff and I are going to be here for you when big things happen. We're going to do bonus stuff. We're here all the time. Subscribe. Make sure you get it all. All right, Jeff, not one, two big boosts to this Reds lineup that really needs a big boost. We got Matt McLain coming back. He's going to be in the 2-hole right where he belongs, setting the table for Elly De La Cruz. We also get to welcome in the major league first appearance. We saw him in spring training, but this is his Reds debut in the regular season. Austin Hays off the injured list in the lineup as your designated hitter today at Great American Ballpark.
The savior of the outfield is ready to go. No, I'm being a little bit facetious there, but no, he looked pretty solid in his rehab games in AAA. Hit a home run, got a couple of RBIs, put the ball in play quite well. He looks strong, looks ready to go. I'm a little bit surprised, albeit I understand the positioning on defense, putting him at DH and still having Gavin Lux play left field. They're slow playing the hamstring, making sure everything's good there. But I'm a little bit surprised that Austin Hays isn't starting out in the cleanup spot, because to me, at least through most of spring training before they put Hays on the injured list, it looked like 1, 2, 3, 4 was Friedel, McLain, Elly, and Hays. And I thought that was going to be that way as soon as he was back. So I'm a little bit intrigued at least to see this gap where Gavin Lux still is hitting cleanup.
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit. I'm not going to make anything of it unless it happens the next 3 or 4 times. This could just be a welcome back. We're going to ease you in. We don't want you to press too hard in your Reds debut kind of thing. Just go out there.
Gavin Lux is not taking.
Go out there, swing the bat. I don't think so either. But also, Terry might be playing the long game a little bit. Just, Stevenson comes back. We got to juggle again. So rather than juggle to juggle, let's just kind of make small tweaks until everybody's here. And then we'll put our lineup out there and everybody can get comfortable. Maybe that's the play. I don't know. I was surprised, but I'm not going to make a big deal of it for at least a week while Austin Hays gets acclimated.
I definitely find it awesome that we are one guy away from a 100% healthy lineup. We talk about this all the time, and quite frankly, I've almost gotten jaded to the point that I just don't think we'll ever see this team 100% healthy, but here we are. Tyler Stevenson is the last bastion on the injured list to get this team back to 100% and ready to go. I find this very exciting because it's always been that talking point, especially last season, where injuries affect it. And I'm not saying that is wrong. I'm just saying I'm tired of using it as a talking point. As much as it is true, I want to see this team 100% healthy. because I think 100% healthy, they've got a real shot to be a strong lineup. Some guys have really started slow, and I think that there are some guys that are about to break out of some slumps here soon. But then you combine that with adding Hayes and hopefully here very soon Tyler Stevenson, because there were reports today that he could begin a rehab assignment as early as next week, that we should be able to see this lineup fully healthy before the end of April. That, to me, is the most exciting development of this Tuesday Newsday dump.
I want to point out that the lineup thing, Jeff, this is not new. I know there's a perception out there. They're like, oh, it's the Reds. The Reds are always hurt. It's the Reds. Everybody else doesn't have these problems. Yes, they do. And we just don't know it because we don't follow all the other teams every single day. But we know the Reds every single day. So it feels like this is a Cincinnati problem. It's a baseball problem, and it's been a baseball problem pretty much as long as there's been baseball in the modern era. As an example, Jeff, the Great Eight, the Big Red Machine, 1975, 1976. They played a total of 80 games together over those 2 years. They're all 8 guys were in the lineup together at the same time. By the way, in those 8 games, they were 64-16. So if you project that out to 162 game season, that's that awesome. Lineup, had they played every game together for an entire season, that team would have been 130-32. I mean,
that's a pretty nice number. I think that would be a record of wins and things like the best record you ever heard of. But no, that is also the case here. But this is kind of the key point that we have been talking about so much, about just treading water, staying around 500, get healthy, get hot, and go crazy. This is kind of the last step for, okay, now it's really time to get some things right. Because as much as we discussed, is it time to move on from Jake Fraley? Is it time to move on from so-and-so? Is it time to move this guy here or that guy there? This is really the time where we start putting that all out there. Like, okay, Jake Fraley's got to start going because everybody's going to be healthy, and there's going to be plenty of reason to play Blake Dunn in right field more. There's going to be plenty of reason to play Gavin Lux in right field or move Austin Hayes to right field. The opportunities are dwindling for guys that have had tough starts to the season, but have benefited from a bit of an understaffed lineup. That's not happening anymore.
How surprised are you that the move wasn't CES to the IL? He's starting today. I was surprised that it wasn't the move, given the tone of what was being said over the last couple of days. Oh, he's sore. Oh, he's it had that feel of, oh, he's really powering through for us right now because everybody's not back. And I kind of expected, well, now everybody's back, so we're going to let him rest and work it out. We're not going to let him push. But here he is. He's in the lineup. You talk about Fraley. He's another guy that's got to get it going, Jeff. You look at what CES, he just hasn't been right since the injury. And right now he's sporting a 36 OPS plus. It is
64% below league average.
And he's played. He's been in 13 of the 16 games, Jeff. So he's been playing, and he has not been playing well. Fraley needs to step it up, but also CES needs to step it up, because I am certain that Nick Krall, all off season, when everybody's like power hitter, Nick Krall in his head was like, I got that guy. Well, CES better hurry up. Be that guy.
I think that is the gamble, and I think that if CES can break out, then you talk about a different deadline focus. But as of right now, the deadline focus has not changed from what the focus has been the last couple of years for what this team needs. But yeah, I think that the reason that I'm focusing more on Fraley is that I see signs of a turnaround with Christian Encarnacion-Strand. The hard hit rate is good. He is getting a little bit unlucky with the balls that he does put in play, where Jake Fraley isn't getting that unlucky, and he's not hitting the ball hard at all. And I think that there's something still there for CES. I'm with you. I thought that could be an option, putting CES on the injured list. But with him being in the starting lineup now, my concerns on that are alleviated. Because if he were on the bench again, if he were not starting again for the Tuesday night game, the opener against the Mariners, then I would have a lot of questions of, is he still not healthy yet? But we went ahead and we moved Noelvi Marte down to AAA anyway. that seems a little bit silly to me. But overall, I know that you're going to be able to take this lineup seriously moving forward, or at least evaluate them seriously moving forward because of how healthy that they are.
I want to talk about Noelvi for just a second, since you brought him up.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm glad they sent him down because I want him to play every day. I'm glad he's back in Louisville, because the way the Reds roster is constructed right now, until he's just the clear-cut third baseman and you can run him out there every day, there's still this swap around going, right? That Terry Francona's got. You got Candelario's got to scoot around. You got Lux that's got to scoot around. You got, these opportunities with everybody being back. I need Noelvi to play every day, and I need him to show that he has overcome whatever that was that happened. And we know his story, the suspension and the PDs and all the things. But then the after of that, the way he looked coming back from that, something was clearly wrong. The approach was broken. It was broken.
Because he wasn't even looking good in Arizona. He wasn't looking good in.
He didn't look
training.
good in
So
he didn't
look
look good in the
right.
He didn't look good in the Winter League. He didn't look good anywhere after that. So I'm glad, because I don't want him to be a bust. I was mad at him last year, but I don't want him to be a bust. I want him to get back to being that guy that we were kind of hoping he was. So I'm glad they sent him down. I'm glad he's not like riding the pine, where he would be actually behind Santiago Espinal right now on the depth chart. So send him down. I'm good with that.
That's fair. And I think the only part of me that's a little bit disappointed in this is just the rah-rah side, that I'm like, man, you sent him down right before he got a chance to play his old team. That would have been kind of fun. But other than that, it all makes complete and total sense to me. Speaking of his old team, the Seattle Mariners are in town for 3 games, and this series presents a very distinct challenge for a very challenged group on the Reds roster.
Playoffs. Yeah, basketball and hockey. Playoff season is here. It's heating up, and there's no better way to turn your sports knowledge into real rewards than with PrizePicks, the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy. With PrizePicks, you simply pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and you're in. You can even combine players across sports, basketball, hockey, baseball, and more, for your chance to win up to 2,000 times your cash. This is very easy. You do this with baseball. Jeff talked about this a lot last season. Ellie De La Cruz, more on the stolen bases. Not so much this season, but that time is coming, and you'll be able to score big with PrizePicks. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONMLB, and you're going to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game.
You can watch us on YouTube, but if you can't watch us on YouTube, you can listen to us on your favorite podcasting app. We're seriously on all of them out there, and that includes the postcast. That also includes the brand new Locked On MLB show, Locked On MLB Game Night, covering every single game, every single night, a national perspective with local analysis from Steve, myself, and every single Locked On MLB channel we got. That's Locked On MLB Game Night. Check it on YouTube and on your favorite podcasting app as well.
And by the way, I just want to say that you, speaking of shows that they're in the feed, let's talk for just 30 seconds about the show dropped in the feed today. The group hang, as it is, of the MLB baseball host, and you crushed it yesterday. What a fun show. Just for our listeners, that show is intended to be a little bit more laid back. It's intended to give you a broad baseball perspective of everything going on in Major League Baseball, and it's a lot of fun to do too.
Yeah, we got 9 folks on the screen for this episode. We had a whole bunch of, there was Chuck, JD, and myself from the NL Central. We had a couple of AL West hosts. We had a couple of AL Central hosts. There's so many different perspectives all come together. And there's Sully, which we always joke about. Who does Sully hate this week, and who's he hating on this week, which he doesn't hate anybody, but he just likes to talk reasonably about some teams, which means that he obviously hates those teams. So there's so much that goes on in these shows. The Lockdown MLB Squad show will be coming at you every week, Tuesday afternoons. So make sure you check that out as well. But yeah, that's a lot of fun. Didn't get a lot of chance. The Mariners guys weren't on this one, but kind of looking ahead to the Reds and the Mariners here. we have talked about the Reds and Mariners almost being like sister teams over the last few seasons, and there's no better example than what these next 3 games are going to look like, because both teams pitch really well and both teams can't hit worth a darn. And oh, by the way, yes, there's the emotional tie to Tuesday night's game. Luis Castillo, the probable starter for the Mariners.
I miss him so much. Listen, I am so conflicted about this
La
game.
Piedra, man. He's always going to be a La Piedra.
I know. I am so conflicted, Jeff, because I don't want to see him get bashed. I don't want to see him, we rooted for him for a long, long time. So the best scenario that I have been able to come up with is a 1-0 Reds win, and maybe, to get that win.
Take the under.
Great.
It's like 8.5.
Take the under.
Let's
get a 1-0 Reds win and have a great pitching performance from Castillo and Lodolo. Let's do that. That would make me happy. And then the other 2 games of the series, let's have the lineup go off. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to what the Reds have in this series pitching wise. I mean, you're talking about some really good options in Nick Lodolo, and then at the end of the series, you got Brady Singer for the Thursday day game. Looking forward to that against Brian Wu in that one. And then you have Bryce Miller for the Mariners in game 2. The Reds are getting the A squad from the Mariners pitching staff, and the Mariners, for my money, have the best pitching staff in baseball. So I
keep that in mind when evaluating, because I know I can see it. If it's a low scoring game, I can see the comments already, right? I can hear it. Twitter's going to blow up. The comment section is going to blow up. Everybody's saying, "Oh, we got the guys back," and look, they still only scored whatever it is that they scored. It's not a fair metric. This is a really, really, really good rotation in Seattle. These are really, really good pitchers that this lineup's going to be going up against.
Which, to be fair to proponents of fair evaluations, I have been told that the Reds didn't do anything at all by sweeping the Pittsburgh Pirates. So they're ready to fairly evaluate this series against the Mariners.
Oh boy. No.
But the point being here, like we said it on the live show yesterday, which, by the way, if you missed our live show, Monday afternoons, the time may vary a little bit, but it's going to be somewhere between like 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. every Monday. But the live show that we had on Monday, we were talking about this series, and we said, if you set the over-under at 9.5 total runs for the series, I think I'm taking the under. And they got the over-under at 8.5 for the first game. So I'm like, man, hit the under on all these games. It's going to be some good pitching and probably some fast games as well. If you're down at the ballpark, and you get up to get an extra hot dog, you might miss like 3 or 4 innings.
Yeah, it's the perfect series to get a beer for each hand as you go to your seat.
Hit the garden bar beforehand.
You got to hit the garden bar beforehand. That's right.
Everydayers will know on that one. But no, I look for the Reds to hopefully win this series. But if they take 1 out of 3, I'm not going to be overly disappointed. Because I get it, the Mariners are not in their best spot yet, but their pitching is just as good as the Reds, if not better. So it's going to be a very, very tough series here. This is the one series out of the next couple, because everybody's looking at the teams that the Reds have coming up, and they're saying, well, they're under 500. This team's under 500. It feels like the Reds are hitting an easy part of their schedule. But a lot of these teams that they're facing are talented ball clubs that just haven't gotten off to a hot start. The Mariners are chief among them, because if their lineup does anything at all, if Julio Rodriguez does anything at all, they're going to be a tough team to beat. So if the Reds pitching staff can keep everybody in check, because I'm not really that concerned for anybody in the Mariners lineup outside of Julio Rodriguez. They're thinking the exact same thing about the Reds, except, Ellie De La Cruz is the only guy they're worried about.
Right. And I really hope, I know you said if you take 1 from 3, you'd be okay. I want to win this series too. I feel like the Reds
be above 500 would be a lot of fun.
Yeah. I feel like momentum wise, the Reds are in a really good place. The pitching has been phenomenal. The lineup is getting help. Everything's kind of moving along. I'm not expecting a ton of high scoring games. I would take the under also, but listen, I don't think Seattle's pitching is that much better than the Reds. They could very easily win 2 of 3. As far as I'm concerned, I want them to win at least 2 of 3 and keep that momentum going. Just win series, baby. That should be the mantra.
They're going to have to take advantage of any mistake pitches they see, because there's not going to be that many. And if they can do that, they will win. 2 out of 3 of these games. I believe that. But I believe that's a good spot for us to end today's podcast. Thanks, everybody, for checking out today's Locked On Reds podcast. If you're not subscribed and an everydayer, by the way, shout out to our everydayers out there. You can become an everydayer by hitting that subscribe button here on YouTube or on your favorite podcasting app, because we're with you every single day, like the next Locked On Reds podcast, where we're going to detail the struggles. Yeah, I said struggles because he started off the year hot, did Ellie De La Cruz, but here recently he's been struggling. We're going to detail as to why on the next Locked On Reds podcast.
Hashtag Jeff hates EDLC. Oh my God.
Being rational, Steve. Like, sometimes I try to do it. Sometimes I try. And I'm going to try. And we'll be rational about Ellie on the next Locked On Reds podcast. You can also check out Tim Daniel on the postcast after every single one of these games against the Mariners. And like I mentioned, make sure you make your next listen Locked On MLB Game Night. You can follow along every single game of every single night on Locked On MLB Game Night. You can find that on the Locked On MLB feed on YouTube and on your favorite audio podcasting platform. But you can always trust what, Steve?
That we will be right here keeping you Locked On Reds every single day.
You know, just because you want to be rational and you want to be objective and you want to break something down in a rational way does not mean you hate something.
Wow, you are so angry. Just so much hate. Venom.
Rational.
Wow.
Being realistic. It's weird.